Welcome to the show, everyone. Today we're diving into something that really shakes up how we think about evidence. It's
Yeah,
about the evidence hierarchy. Who gets believed and why?
right. And it's not just about dry facts. It's about how systems, particularly disability systems, treat evidence as a gatekeeper of credibility and support.
Absolutely. So let's kick things off with a big idea here. In everyday life, evidence should help us understand what's true. But in the systems world, evidence is more about defending decisions.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a twist on the meaning of evidence. Instead of a tool for discovery, it turns into permission. Permission to be heard, or, sadly, permission to be ignored.
Right. Think of it this way. Evidence in systems isn't a neutral record of truth. It's like a backstage pass that you need to get into the club of legitimacy.
And when you don't have that pass, no matter how valid your experience might be, the system dismisses it. They call it just anecdote.
Exactly. And that phrase, just anecdote, really is short for insufficient evidence. But really, it's a dismissal of lived reality, a systematic way to silence voices by labeling their daily struggles as mere personal stories.
Right. Now, let's talk about that hierarchy. At the very top sits the kind of evidence that the system loves. Things like standardized assessments, internal notes, checkbox tools. Basically, evidence that the system has,
True.
produced itself.
Yeah, it's evidence that is system generated, standardized, and easy to audit. It's all about numbers, templates, and what can be neatly quantified.
Exactly. But then where do family experiences and lived knowledge come in? Often they end up at the bottom of that hierarchy, treated as biased or subjective.
Right, and isn't it kind of ironic? When you're biased toward your own survival, it's totally rational, and yet the system treats it as a flaw rather than a strength.
Absolutely. It's like they've rigged the game. The evidence that's collected by the system, in a way, protects its own narrative, while lived insights get discarded.
That brings us to the infamous just anecdote remark. On the surface, it sounds trivial, but its impact is huge. Dismissing firsthand accounts means the system misses out on patterns of distress, triggers, even insights into what works or fails.
Right on. And families who day in and day out collect detailed observations, from changes in pain to shifts in behaviour, are labelled as being, well, merely anecdotal rather than systematically
Yeah,
observed.
exactly. Now, let's shift gears a bit. Who exactly gets believed within these systems? It's often individuals with status, titles, or that objective seal of approval.
Oh, definitely. Right. There's an unwritten rule. If you speak with the language and tone that fits the system's templates, your evidence, and by extension your experience, is deemed valid. Otherwise, you struggle.
Yes, exactly. And that's a real issue when you think about people with complex communication needs or those who don't have the resources to navigate that intricate system of credibility.
It creates this perverse incentive. People end up learning to perform their disability or repackage their lived reality in the right language just to be believed.
I totally agree. Yeah, in a sense, the system is training everyone to become their own grant writer. And that brings up another, let's call it the evidence tax.
Right. Absolutely. The evidence tax is real. Reports cost money, appointments cost time, and all these documentations take up invaluable resources. For many, especially those already on the margins, it's a barrier, not a
Yes,
help.
it really is. And that barrier disproportionately affects the most vulnerable. People with high support needs, families on the brink of burnout, those without easy access to resources.
So, essentially, if you're not already positioned to navigate the system, even genuine evidence of need might be overlooked. It's a deeply flawed, almost self-fulfilling design.
Yeah, it is. Zipping over to another point, system evidence versus human evidence. The fact that system notes can often override actual human reality, like when a single term such as coping becomes a long-lasting label.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that snapshot of evidence, even if it's just one good moment or a single note, can trap a person in a narrative that ignores the full, messy spectrum of their lived experience.
Yeah, it's like the system rewards that momentary glimpse and completely sidelines the longitudinal more nuanced reality.
Exactly. That part always makes me wonder. Shouldn't we be building systems that, rather than stacking the deck, actually recognize the full story?
Absolutely. Which leads us to the uncomfortable truth. The evidence hierarchy isn't a scientific tool at all. It's a power structure.
Right, a power hierarchy. The system's design isn't about objective truth. It's about controlling whose voice is heard and whose is dismissed. And that's a pretty stark reality.
True that. Imagine if a fire department ignored the person describing smoke because their evidence wasn't in the approved format. It seems absurd until you see it in practice.
Exactly, it's outrageous. Now, if we flip the script, what would a fair evidence system look like?
Good question. Well, first, it'd recognize lived experience as a valid source of evidence, especially when it's consistent over time.
Right, yeah. Second, it would need to clearly explain how it weights different pieces of evidence. Transparency is key. You'd know what matters, what doesn't, and why.
Exactly. And third, it'd be designed for access, offering multiple formats and processes that help gather evidence without forcing people to collapse just to be taken seriously.
Totally. It means making bias visible and correctable instead of pretending that the system is neutral. The idea is to level the playing field.
Right on. At its heart, it's about power. The system currently functions to silence those whose experiences they deem inadequate, but a fairer system would amplify those voices.
Yes, indeed. And that's exactly why platforms like this exist. To upend the narrative where credibility is reserved for the privileged and standardized.
Absolutely. When the system equates eloquence and adherence to its own templates with truth, it not only marginalizes people with complex disabilities, it effectively disenfranchises entire communities.
Totally. I mean, think about it. If you're already facing barriers just to communicate, then having to become your own grant writer is just another weight on your shoulders.
Yeah, and that's why challenging this status quo isn't just academic. It directly affects safety, stability, and dignity. The evidence hierarchy isn't a neutral science. It's a means of exercising power over people.
Right, exactly. This conversation really lays bare why reform is needed. If we're honest, the current system, by demanding a certain kind of evidence, perpetuates inequality.
Absolutely, yes. So to wrap this up, whether you're someone with a folder of rigorous reports or lived experiences that defy easy documentation, remember, if you've been dismissed as just anecdote, it's not you, it's the system.
Right, it's the system every time. And for those listening, this is a call to action. Share your story, question these hierarchies, and help push for systems that recognize the full spectrum of human reality.
Definitely. Thanks for joining in this exploration of power, evidence, and credibility. Keep challenging the status quo and advocating for systems that truly listen.
Thank you. Remember, your experience is not just anecdote. It's evidence that demands to be heard.
Absolutely. Well said. That's all for today. Stay bold, keep questioning, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, see you soon.